Hey everyone, today I want to talk about this other great book on perspective drawing by Mateu-Mestre. If you've been following the channel long enough, you will know that I have covered this book extensively in a guide to study perspective. So here today I want to dive deeper into it and discuss the structure and what's inside, some of the content, some of the exercises that helped me a lot, and so on. I had the pleasure of meeting Marcos at CTN 2016. So it was amazing. Nice meeting this guy and an honor to have the book signed. Going into the table of contents, he breaks down the basics, the flat and square surface, the cube. So these three are going to be the structure of perspective and understanding of the concepts and how they apply to a simple box. So then 2 points and how you start rotating that box, multiple vanishing points, 3 vanishing points, so you start tilting your head as well. Inclined planes, they're going to break some of the rules that we have in 2 points. And I say rules, quote unquote, because it's more of a simplification than anything. And then bending the line goes into ellipses. It's interesting that Marcos decided to leave ellipses only to chapter 8. So you have 139 pages before looking at ellipses. They are complex, so it's an interesting approach. You can start drawing without them and then get more and more into it. And finally, elevation and plan. This is more of a mathematical concept and architecture approach. I don't think that's used very much, to be honest, and I'll get to that later on. Lenses, this is really important. And finally, notes on freehand drawing and sketching and composition, something that he has on other books like Framed Drawing Techniques and Framed Ink 1 and 2. I'll have links to all his books in the description below if you want to check them out. So jumping right in, the foreword is by Scott Robertson. This is published by Design Studio Press, Scott Robertson's publishing house. So if you want to check that out, they have lots of great books in perspective, world building, creature design, and so on, as well as art books from amazing artists all around. So I'll go a little faster here. A lot of the drawing techniques and concepts that he will further explore in his book, and start with some of the perspective concepts and getting more and more complex with time. The picture plane and how to position things, how we see in perspective, bending like planes, and understanding how parallel lines will go to the same vanishing point once they are in perspective. So most of the basic concepts that you'll see. And then going into the cube, a simple box, how that will go and converge to a point, a vanishing point on the horizon line. The eye level, so if you're raised, and if you are lowered into the space, it will change where the horizon line is. I mentioned this in my How to Draw book, as well as my perspective videos. Here, my How to Draw book review. And here you can see placing some boxes. This exercise, I think it's most useful if you are trying to understand convergency, how fast the lines are converging to a single point, as well as how high you are, and the eye level turns into the horizon line. Now we're changing, looking down into a room or something like that, or an elevator shaft, and it's the same. It's the same structure of 1 point perspective, but now you're looking down. You're looking straight down. If you're not looking straight down, it's going to be 3 point perspective, perspective, and we'll get there later. A corridor in all the structure in there, getting more complex into buildings that are basically boxes. So it's not getting that complex, but you're starting to draw real things using simple boxes or just corridors. A lot of beautiful examples and process thumbnails. So start the creation here before you flesh out the perspective going forward. Start rotating the boxes and having 2-point perspective. This is where lenses are going to be important, because you understand if you're going to have the 2 points in your page, or if one of them is going to be out of the frame. We can like cut right here, and both or one of the points, the vanishing points, will be out of the page. Checker box to create grids. That's super useful if you're going to start drawing rooms in perspective. Simple division of planes and creating more and more complex checker boxes. Odd number division, not just simple breakdown of planes, but getting something that you want projected into that plane, using a lot of different boxes and this center, finding the center through the diagonals to start combining things and getting more complex. If you've seen my book on architecture, the book review, my book review on architecture, you've seen the pyramids, and you start getting those kind of shapes over here. This could be a bridge design as well, and you just draw into this. Architecture, especially ancient architecture, is going to be really straightforward. You can use this, add some ladders or staircases or just ramps, and you start having more of a complex, some windows in there, and then more complex construction. Gonna go a little faster here, getting more and more chaotic with all the construction lines. I love a quote from the Frame Perspective Made Easy book, an old book from the early 20th century, where he says that basically think of perspective as all the structure, the scaffolding structure of building something, a bridge, a building, or whatever. All of that is supposed to go away, but it's super important when you're building things so that everything goes into the right place. I love that concept. It frees us from the burden of a lot of lines and becomes part of the process. Multiple vanishing points. This is very hard because you start rotating a lot of different boxes in the same drawing, and it will get way more complex really fast. You have a lot of boxes in different directions, so build up this and then start rotating. And here he's not using ellipses to help rotate, which makes everything more difficult as well. A lot of different examples. And it's interesting to remember, and I always like to remind this, Marcos works as mostly a layout design and storyboard artist in the animation industry. Sometimes more environment design as well, but mostly layout and storyboard, at least from what I know from his career. So this is a book that thinks of scenes. He has other books on composition and sequential art, so movies and understanding of the frame and how to position things and all of that. So you are going to see a lot of this in here. A lot of examples, mostly focus on storytelling, both for storyboarding, for illustration, and so on. So this is really interesting to have in mind if you're gonna start to use this book. And he is more into the realistic side, or at least realistic proportions. And so that's what you're gonna see here. So 3 points, you start looking up It's not straight up, but it's up with an angle. So things start converging to a third point. They're going to keep converging to the 1 point or 2 point that we had before, and then start converging to a third point as well. So you're looking down sometimes, and it gets a little more complex, but it's more natural. It's basically how we look at things. We're not usually looking straight parallel to the ground. Once again, a lot of different examples, and I'm gonna inclined planes. Some of them are not gonna go either up or on a vertical or horizontal, so they're gonna be inclined. So you need an auxiliary vanishing point so that lines can converge, and they're gonna be upward from the vanishing point that they're pointed to. This is explained here in great detail. I learned a lot of this from Eric Olson's course on New Masters Academy. I'll have a link to that if you want to check that out as well. Highly recommend. Building staircases, great exercise to practice. And then I love this example, the thumbnail and fleshing things out. And finally, last but not least, bending the line. So ellipses or circles that become ellipses in perspective. This is hard to draw, so take your time here, go one step at a time. If you've seen my review on Scott Robertson's How to Draw, it's very important for the cars and ellipses construction. It's super emphasized in that book. If you want to focus more on hard surface, I would recommend going with Scott Robertson first and potentially coming here for more storytelling and complex scenes than single objects. Circular constructions, a bridge, and a lot happening here. I think this is inclined planes and roads. Elevation and plan view and profile. So this is the more technical thing that I mentioned. I think it's not used that much. Please let me know in the comments if you do use that nowadays. Different lenses will differ what appears in your plane. So if you have a long lens, you're going to be far away, and probably the vanishing points are going to be super far away in your whole scheme of the scene. 50 millimeters, it's the normal human eye basically. And wide angle, the two vanishing points are going to be close together, mostly inside the page. And maybe you're going to start to have more of a rounded circular fisheye perspective in your drawing as well. So you have these differences. Super interesting to see how he goes about this. And finally, notes on free drawing, measurements, a lot of things that, to be honest, I would go about first. I taught using this book as a textbook in the past, and I highly recommend going through this before learning the perspective, so you know how to see and use your perception to help the overall drawing. So the angles and everything, if you're drawing from real life, this is gonna be super useful. And even like for urban sketching and things like that, this is very, very useful combined with all the knowledge that you get from this book overall. And even some organic drawing, adding figures. Figures he's gonna cover mostly on frame perspective 2. That I'll have a video here on the channel as well. And notes on composition, mostly like a pitch to his book, Frame Dink 1 and 2. And you can see how he breaks down the thought process behind all the pictures that were presented in this book. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you're going to study perspective, there are other videos here on the channel. Have a great day, and we'll catch up in other video.